Yeah, that chief told me he's got. I gotta get, I don't know what date it is, I think it's a Friday, September.
Call meeting to order. Oh, please rise. Could I ask you to join me in a moment of reflection on the business before us this evening? Please join me in a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please take the roll.
Alderman Basso.
Here.
Alderman Violet.
Here.
Alderman Clifford.
Here.
Alderman Key.
Here.
Alderman Kromarski.
Here.
Alderman Lewandowski.
Here.
Alderman McGovern.
Here.
Alderman McGrogan.
Here.
Mayor, City Clerk, Treasurer, and Attorney present.
All right. Understand we have a special presentation tonight from the Beautification Committee. Someone?
My name is Bob Starzik. I'm chairperson of the classic car event at Fuels the Beautification Committee, and a few of our members that really helped run the classic car event. We were supposed to have a check presentation today about the split the pot raffle that we always do. The first winner, Shay Mills, bought the ticket that night of the show, and she won $3,500. And she's currently in school, and all the whole $3,500 will be going to her student loans. All right. So that's one good thing that's coming out of the car show.
Great.
The other winner was Paul Burtz. He said he would be here, and I have not seen him. And then we do have our $250 winner. Sharon Lake of, I guess you live in Vale Heights?
I don't, I work with John Hanley. I'm sorry, I can't lie,
There's
but
a-
that's okay. John
There's a
Hanley.
50% city tax.
And,
Collusion.
thank you for coming out.
Well, thank you very much, thank you.
Congratulations.
We put on this event every year. This year was probably one of our better events financially, because we had a lot more support from the city businesses and everything through here. This was probably one of our best sponsorships as we've been doing for now 16 years. Wow. And I'd like to thank the city for letting us be able to do this out there, and hopefully we can continue for a few more years. And thank you, Mayor.
Well, thank you and your committee for everything. I mean, that's really good. You guys do a super job.
Thank you.
John Hanley was taking pictures over there. And our committee members, it's summertime, they don't want to come out. Thank you. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.
It's actually turned into one of the greatest events around, I tell you, so everyone has a good time. Under consent calendar, Tom informs me the minutes were in the package?
They were.
They were, okay. So we need a motion to approve the city council meeting minutes from August 6, 2019, and approval of the payroll and voucher list for the period ending August 16, 2019.
So moved.
Moved by Alderman
Second.
Clifford, second by Alderman Kromarski. Discussion, roll call.
Alderman Basso.
Aye.
Alderman Violet.
Yes.
Alderman Clifford.
Aye.
Alderman Key.
Yes.
Alderman Kromarski.
Yes.
Alderman Lewandowski.
Aye.
Alderman McGovern.
Yes.
Alderman McGrogan.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right. Under my report, just with some sadness, some great sadness, actually, last Friday, we lost some individual that many of you know, maybe by face, maybe not by name, but has been around the city for years. And Jim Nix, JJ, as many of you know, he's been a police officer in Blue Island and Palos Heights for 37 years. And even as he later was a part-time guy, was always around for everything. You see a picture of Jim there on the screen for those of you who may recognize him by face. But always had a good thing to say about people. Was jumped in for whenever needed for the city. Stepped in to fill his shoes for different events around town. From a personal side, Jim's worked the last 5 years at our bank as a security guard and at Payless Bank before that, so I've known him personally for the years doing that. So he will be missed. Just got a notice this afternoon that on Saturday, September 7th, from 11:30 until 2 o'clock, they'll be hosting a memorial service in the Orchard Room over at the Payless Heights Recreation Center for anybody who would like to attend. There'll be a brief prayer service at 12 o'clock, will be officiated by Father Pat O'Neill from St. Alexander's, and the luncheon will follow. So if you're so inclined, please stop in and pay your respects to Jim and to his family. So he was a great guy, and he'll sorely be missed. He was very active around town all the time. He's even though he didn't live here, he lived in Blue Island. You'd see him up and down Harlem Avenue just on his time off too. So was a super individual. So that being said, I need also to make an amendment to the legislation we passed last week, putting for sale in there. So I need a motion to approve the amended opioid legislation agreement. I'm sorry, this is something different. If you remember, about 4 months ago, we approved to join in a lawsuit for the opioid disgrace that's happening across the United States, and to join City of Payless Heights. Our lead attorneys were going to be Walsh and Sturba. Due to some unforeseen circumstances, they can't do it, so they've named another attorney, John Donovan, I believe is the name. So I need a motion to approve the amended agreement.
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Kamara, seconded by Alderman Violet. Discussion, roll call.
Alderman Basso.
Aye.
Alderman Violet.
Yes.
Alderman Clifford.
Aye.
Alderman Key.
Yes.
Alderman Kromarski.
Yes.
Alderman Lewandowski.
Aye.
Alderman McGovern.
Yes.
Alderman McGrogan.
Yes.
All right, City Clerk?
No report.
City Treasurer?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the Treasurer's Report for the period ending July 31st, 2019. The general fund began the month with a beginning cash balance of $3,883,169.58, revenues of $1,513,560.71, expenses of $976,514.40, other source use $2,833.30, giving an ending cash balance for the month in the general fund of $4,417,382.59. Total of all funds began the month $16,799,896.05. Revenues $2,561,267.40. Expenses of $1,477,623.45. Other source use $61,582.23, giving an ending cash balance in all funds of $17,821,957.77. That concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Entertain a motion to approve the Treasurer's Report.
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Violet. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman McGovern. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. City Attorney?
And no report.
Any communication? Alderman Komarski?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would just like to personally thank the Public Works Department for the outstanding job they did after the storm last week. I saw a tree down right across 76th Avenue. They had it up and out within a half hour. And also to our police department, they were right on the scene for anything that was needed. That's all I have. Thank you.
Any other communication anyone have? Not citizens wishing to address the council? If not, finance?
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Public safety, Alderman McGovern.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the only things I have to say is, number one, school's going to be starting back this week. Okay, so please be cautious. We have the students crossing guards, school buses, and children on bicycles, all heading back to school. And don't forget, if it's a two-lane roadway, you must start on both sides of the street for a school bus. If it's a four-lane, you only have to stop on the side of the street the bus is on. Okay? But please use caution, especially this first part of the week. Everybody knows everything doesn't run very smoothly that first part of the week, and so until it gets smooth, be extra cautious. Secondly, let's keep in mind our Lock It and Lose It program. Please remember to lock your car doors and your garage doors at night. Okay? And I'd like to thank everybody who participated in the police department's Payless Night Out. I think everybody who attended had a very good time. And I'd also like to add my condolences to the Nix family. I think we all share with giving our thoughts and prayers with them at this time. Okay? Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
I would like to add to Jerry's point number one. School has already started.
Some schools have and some haven't, yeah.
Almost everybody is already in school, and it seems as if each year they start sooner and sooner and sooner. And soon it's going to be August 1st. But I think the schools were pretty much back by the 14th or 15th this year.
My wife
So,
had 1 year where she started August 9th.
Yeah, it's.
So
I remember when it was after Labor Day for all.
Yeah.
You know,
So
that's
do I.
like living in the Stone Age, I guess.
the main thing is to be careful when you drive. Stay off your phone.
Yeah.
Okay? Anything else? Municipal grounds and property, Alderman Basso?
Yes, Mayor, I have no items on the agenda. I'd just like to remind the residents that the chipper is obviously behind a little because of the weather. I'm sure that they'll be visiting everyone's house soon, so get all your debris out there, and that's the end of my report. Thank you.
And there's a lot of debris out there, I can tell you.
Yes.
Planning and zoning, Alderman Clifford.
No report tonight, Mr. Mayor.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you, sir. Recreation, Alderman Key.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to approve an intergovernmental agreement with School District 128 for use of the school facility, which happens to be Chippewa in this case, to hold the power play before and after school programs.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Key, seconded by Alderman Violet. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then based on our attendance this summer at our concert, which the attendance was very much much more than in previous years. They were a very big success. And I would just like to say an extra thank you to CNB Bank, which is at 127th and Ridgeland Avenue. They sponsored all of our concerts this year and the movies in the park. And so, you know, sometimes we have discussions about the abundance of banks that we have in town, but I'm here to tell you that a number of them contribute to the city in a number of ways, and this is a way that impacts families in a big way because of the movies and the concert, and we all enjoy those things. So thank you to them. And that can one other thing, and then Lake Catherine on September 15th. It's just a couple weeks away. Is having Butterfly Fest. That's one of the biggest events that they have of the year, and I believe that they have Groupons for that. So take a look online to see if there's Groupons, and then go to the website and check out the other information about the Butterfly Fest. And that does conclude my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Roads and construction, Alderman Komarski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Move to authorize the city attorney to draft an amendment to the ordinance updating City Code Chapter 76, Traffic Schedules Ordinance, Schedule 4, to correspond with changes made as a result of the approved 2017 traffic control study.
Moved by Alderman Komarski, second by Alderman Clifford. Discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I have a couple comments on this. I'd like to voice my concern over this change to the ordinance, once again on this stop sign issue. I've heard from my constituents who share the streets with the vehicles here in Palos Heights, as we have no sidewalks, that the removal of the stop signs could cause some safety hazards. I'd also like to read into the record an incident that happened August 14th at 9 a.m. On the corner of 121st and Richard in the intersection. 2 cars were involved in a collision. Both cars were declared total by State Farm. One resident went to the hospital, but he's okay. It's just fortunate that there was no civilians on the street at the time. That these incidents can happen, and I would just like to call that attention to the City Council.
Thank you, sir.
If I may respond?
Sure.
We follow the letter of the law with this ordinance. We follow the guidelines of the MUTCD, which is the Mutual I'm sorry, I've got the Uniform Traffic Control Devices. This has been ongoing. We had this traffic study done by a former IDOT engineer, a very respected man. And I think when it comes to accidents and when it comes to children, parents need to be responsible. They're your children, they're your responsibility. And that's just my opinion on that. But the MUTCD is the law governing all traffic control devices. Noncompliance of the MUTCD can ultimately result in a loss of federal aid funds as well as a significant increase in tort liability. Also, as far as the intersections, the traffic engineer determined that no internal intersections within the study area met the traffic volumes to warrant multi-way stop. In order to have a multi-way stop, you need to have 300 cars per hour going through that intersection. We don't have 300 cars per day. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any questions? Madam Passo?
Once again, I don't think stop signs are going to be to anyone's advantage or disadvantage. As on the way here tonight, a couple of minutes ago, I noticed that someone had taken out the Sherwin-Williams sign on 119th in Harlem. So obviously somebody wasn't paying attention to signage at that intersection. I'm sure there's more than 300 cars a day going through that corner. So once again, I would like to remind everybody that comes to intersections, especially on the side streets, especially in Old Town that I've observed, is to not just assume that the other guy is going to stop because he has a stop sign there. There's a lot of assumption going through those intersections, and safety first and care first, and you know, we all lose track of what we're doing occasionally, and we go through those things not knowing and not being totally aware. So just be a little more careful. Don't rely upon the signage.
If I could make one more
Mr.
comment,
Mayor?
Mayor. On Saturday at 11 o'clock in the morning, I don't know whose children they were, but they were northbound on 76th Avenue. Those three blonde boys couldn't have been between the ages of 8 and 5. None of them wore helmets, and I would like to know where their parents were. Secondly, we're also concerned with our cell phones that we tend to lose track of what's going on around us. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, you gotta also realize that in the residential neighborhoods around, everywhere in the city of Palos Heights, the speed limit is only 20 miles an hour.
Clifford?
Yeah, you know, with all the concerns and that, we did the study for the benefit of everybody in there, and it seems to be working out, at least from the people I talked to in my neck of the woods. But I had a study done on my block on 71st Court, because there was some complaints, so the police moved to monitoring. I'd like you to read the report just to show you something. It says the extended speed summary report shows that a total volume of cars for the week, now get this, is on 71st, was 2,396 with an average of 299.5 a day. Goes down my block. The average speed at the location was 14.98 miles per hour, and the 85th percentile speed was at 20.6 miles per hour. It should be noted that the listed speed of 77 miles per hour on the report was part of the calculation process. It was not an actual recorded speed. The volume of speed report breaks down violations by the hour. Typically, per court rules, we do not issue speeding citations unless the speed is in excess of 15 miles per hour. Over a period of 8 days, only 3 cars out of the 2,396 traveled between the speeds of 31 and 35 miles an hour, and no cars traveled any higher than that. In summary, at this time, no additional radar enforcement is necessary at pre-prescribed locations, and we will continue to monitor the area for violators. But just to show you what I'm trying to say is you would never think, at least I'm on 71st Court right off Harlem, but you would never think that a street like that would have 2,200 cars coming down it in a week, you know. But out of them, all obeying the speed limits there or under it. So there's not I think most on the residents are starting to realize what's going on here. And I've gotten questions why they moved them. And if you look at that report and read it, for the ones they took out, they replaced with just as many, if not more. And they were done there for different reasons, or when we were doing roads and that. And so, and the biggest thing I think, more than the stop signs that may be causing an accident is the line of sight at the intersections. That's more of a danger than anything else, I think, because state statute alone says you're supposed to have, I believe it's 80 feet this
90.
way and
90.
80,
90.
90 feet this way and 90 feet that way. So the clear line to take the hypotenuse there times
And if you have,
1.14, you
and
get
if you
it.
have a tree line, the tree line has to be
But
10 foot. 10
So if
feet
you
up.
can't see the other guy coming because of an obstruction, you know, I think that's maybe, and that was in the report, and I think those things gotta be, soon to be addressed, but some of them are pretty bad, and by locations where children play especially.
No,
Mr.
you
Mayor?
talk about, and you talk about where children play, okay? That's why all four corners of the parks that have intersections have four-way stops. Every park that has an intersection to it is a four-way stop. Now, why does the one down here at 76th Avenue and 122nd Street not? Because private property does not allow that to be a complete square intersection.
Alderman Key?
Yes, when I was chairman of public safety and also on the roads committee at one time, I was involved several different times in my ward where some of the residents wanted to put a stop sign because they felt like it was dangerous, and the administration from the police department came and spoke to the residents, and they were explaining how if you just put a sign where it's not warranted, you're actually making the situation worse. There's got to be, and that's what Alderman Kromarski was alluding to. You know, there's certain things that engineers go by. There's got to be so many cars go by. There's, you know, and so this report was done. I was on the committee when we did that report. It's done by engineers. It not only was evaluating what signs that existed, whether they were warranted or not, but also addressed Alderman Clifford's line of sight things, and a lot of landscaping has been pared back because of this. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
You also have to remember too, that state requires, it is required to do a traffic study before you can turn around and do any of this kind of stuff. And that traffic study is what gives you the warrant for the stop sign. Without that, and if they turn around and tell you that it's not warranted, you cannot put it up. It's that simple.
Right, anything else?
So just a couple of quick points of clarification. It's not just children in the streets, it's adults, it's people with their dogs, it's people riding bikes. One of my favorite people in the world, Kimberly Houston, walks every day down the street. So we're all in the street because we don't have sidewalks in Palos Heights. And Alderman Kromarski brought up two things to be in compliance with the report, that we could possibly sacrifice federal funds. Can I just get and this could be after the meeting, have we ever been denied federal funds because of our non-compliance with the stop signs that has been in non-compliance all the way up to, when did this go into place, May? Or when the study actually took effect, when they removed stop signs?
We haven't applied for any, so yeah.
We haven't applied for any, so.
Mr.
And
Mayor,
then,
but we
one
have.
more point, if I may, and then the last point I have is that Alderman Kromarski also brought up tort liability. Would it be possible just to get an example where a city or a village was sued because they took out a stop sign, or excuse me, added a stop sign?
I can mention one where it was on the bike path, but I don't want to get into that.
Yeah.
But,
We can find out for you.
Oh, thank you. That's all.
Anything else?
no,
Anything
call
else?
for the vote.
Roll call, let's do a roll call, yeah.
Alderman Basso.
Aye.
Alderman Violet.
Yes.
Alderman Clifford.
Lost track, but yes,
What?
yes, aye.
Alderman Key.
Yes.
Alderman Kromarski.
Yes.
Alderman Lewandowski.
No.
Alderman McGovern.
Yes.
Alderman McGrogan.
Yes.
Motion clear, carries.
Move to approve engineer's payment estimate to Triggy Construction in the amount of $64,641.56 for the Route 83 sidewalk project.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Kromarski, second by Alderman Clifford. Discussion? Roll call?
Alderman Basso.
Aye.
Alderman Violet.
Yes.
Alderman Clifford.
Aye.
Alderman Key.
Aye.
Alderman Kromarski.
Yes.
Alderman Lewandowski.
Aye.
Alderman McGovern.
Yes.
Alderman McGrogan.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Move to approve engineer's payment estimate to Lindahl Brothers in the amount of $128,003.28 for the 2019 MFT project.
Moved by Alderman Kromarski, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Clifford, discussion, roll call.
Alderman Basso.
Aye.
Alderman Violet.
Yes.
Alderman Clifford.
Aye.
Alderman Key.
Yes.
Alderman Kromarski.
Yes.
Alderman Lewandowski.
Aye.
Alderman McGovern.
Yes.
Alderman McGrogan.
Yes.
That's the end of my report, Mayor.
Thank you. License permits and franchises, Alderman Lewandowski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, no report.
All right, water and sewer, Alderman Violet.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would first like move that we take off the table the motion that was tabled at the last meeting so that we could, at this time, discuss and vote on the matter.
Moved by Alderman Violet, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Key.
Mr. Mayor, on the question,
Yes.
I would prefer not to vote in favor of that, and for the other aldermen. At the last meeting, we made the table. We have not had a meeting to discuss the issues that came up with around this 3% increase.
We're having it right now,
And- Pardon me?
right now.
No.
I'm prepared
we
to discuss
normally would like discuss it in committee,
It
because
passed
it's gonna
that-
be a lengthy discussion.
It was already discussed in
Here,
committee.
let-
It passed
Mr.
that
Mayor, Let me
committee.
finish,
Well,
let me
this-
finish, please.
hold-
It's-
hold-
And then you can
hold-
talk. As
Just-
chairman of the finance
Well,
committee,
Mike, this is to get it for discussion. I need a second.
right, I mean, but this is to pull the table off.
Right, just to
And so I'm
discuss
just
it.
suggesting that even if it is a favorable vote, I'm gonna make a motion to defer it back to committee because we never had a chance to discuss any of the issues involved in it. And so it really doesn't make any sense to bring it back up. And the fact that, you know, I think there's other ways that we can address this that would be more environmentally sound and financially sound. And as chairman of the finance committee, and when we look at the report, I think that we should really study this before we start automatically, when the city of Chicago starts to raise our rates. And I've been on this committee for 18 years. And in that 18 years, we constantly just automatically approve every single.
That's not the case.
Well, it's pretty true, except for one
That's not
year.
the case.
1 year, which I don't need to get into, we deferred it. But my point is, to answer Alderman Violet's request, I just think that since we didn't really get a chance, Alderman, to discuss it, almost the table was not effective because we would have it right back up here for a vote, because the motion here is to.
Well, as I recall,
approve.
Alderman, you were the one that tabled it.
I did.
And so, according
did.
to our
Robert's
ordinance,
Rules of order.
according to our ordinance, a tabling brings it up
Right.
at the very next meeting.
Right.
Right,
And so I'm bringing it up at the very next meeting.
right.
I'm
No,
prepared
if I can-
to discuss
If I can
it
make a point, this is to bring it back for discussion.
for discussion.
This is not a
Okay.
motion on,
All right.
so this motion we have right now.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question. So when did the water rate from ALSUP actually come into account?
Well,
Like, when were we notified?
months ago.
Some months ago. So months have already gone by. If this was deferred or referred 2 weeks ago, now,
It
I
wasn't
know,
referred.
it was tabled, which added another 2 weeks to it. So now we're gonna wait another month.
There was no recommendation prior to the meeting that we had the motion to be
But there was a
presented.
No, I'm just saying that, I think if we voted
Right.
tonight,
There was
then
a-
we can
There
move
was
on
a
with this.
But again,
recommendation out of
this motion
committee.
is not to vote on it. This is to
Yeah.
actually be able to vote on it. So we
Yeah,
have to get it
right.
back for discussion
This is
purposes.
to,
Yeah.
point of
And
order,
there's-
this
and
is to
there's-
untable.
This is to untable the motion,
Yes.
right.
All right,
So we need a motion to untable the motion.
No, we have a motion second, I believe.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now you can discuss. Go.
okay, now I'll make a motion, Mr. Mayor, that we defer this back to committee for further discussion.
Refer.
Defer.
A motion to defer would bring it to the next city council meeting. Motion to
Right.
refer goes back to committee. Motion to
Motion-
refer requires a vote of the city council to refer it back.
So,
A motion to defer automatically goes to the next city council meeting for
so
action.
refer is the proper word.
Motion to refer would be
Refer
go back to
for
committee.
further
Refer to
discussion.
committee.
So
To
that needs
committee.
it needs a vote.
I
It needs a
believe,
majority vote, right?
I believe we should discuss it now. It's already been voted on in committee.
It was
It-
not a favorable vote.
It was a 2-0 vote. There were two aldermen present. both aldermen voted to send it to council.
There's,
And really, I mean, everything we pass gets voted on twice. It gets voted on once at committee, a 2-0 vote out of committee, and then,
how many aldermen
and
are
then
on
you
the
get
committee?
another, there
How
are,
many aldermen are on the committee?
well, the aldermen, all 8 of us are here today, and so all 8 of us can
But
get a
that's-
bite of
but we have
the
a-
apple
But we have
today.
a committee process. In the committee process, there's 4 people on each committee, so that there can be a vetting and ideas can be expressed by not only the 4, but sometimes other aldermen that aren't part of that will submit ideas to the chairman and/or other voters to say exactly what needs to be done. When you look at the balance sheet, which I look at as chairman of the finance committee, and we have, as an example, in the sewer and water fund, and I preferred not to get into this, that's why I wanted to refer it back for discussion. But we have $7.5 million in the sewer and water fund. Some of that is for capital improvements, and some, because we move money around into other things, and some, we have one bank has $865,000, another one has $1.2 million, another one has $2.4 million. Okay, so we have plenty of money in the sewer and water fund. Most utility bills that all of us receive, that you have for your cell phone, gas, electric, whatever, there's multiple components in your bill. And it might have a line charge if you're talking about Con Edison. And then if you're a heavy user and you use a lot of electricity, you have large screen TVs and whatever, maybe you have a swimming pool, then your bill is effectively higher than someone else's bill that does not have all those bells and whistles. And there is no reason at all.
Is this a monologue, or are we all able to speak here?
Well, I'm
I mean,
not
at some
done yet.
point-
I'm not done.
I can
I'm
tell.
not gonna interrupt you. You can interrupt me as many times as you want. I just would like
I
to.
think I spoke for 30 seconds. You've been speaking for
Okay.
minutes.
Well, I'm not done.
Mr. Mayor,
There's this
if I
is a
could
big-
interrupt for 1 minute, you know, I'm not adverse to listening to anybody's position. The only thing I would like to clarify is, when we talk about utilities or any other services we receive, I have a garbage service. I pay the same as my neighbors next door to me pay. I have 1 can and 1 recycling. They have 14 bags of yard waste, and I pay the same as they do. So, you know, whatever you want to discuss, I'm willing to listen.
One of the things that the alderman brought up was that we have a rather healthy capital fund for water and sewer. The reason that we do, now I haven't been here as long as Alderman McGrogan, but when it comes to water and sewer issues, when things happen, it tends to be expensive. And we like to cover ourselves to make sure that we have the money necessary when things need to be done. That water tower in Westgate, which was done 2 years ago, cost almost $1 million. Right now on the table, we have a project moving our water service at 127th and 83, our water intake service, that is going to cost us in excess of $800,000. IDOT is requiring us to spend that money. We're going to spend a little bit more money than ALSIP, but ALSIP is in the same boat. Their intake line has to be moved as well. A couple of years ago, we had sanitary sewer breaks, one of them at 127th and Westgate, which cost a lot of money because those sanitary sewers are 9 feet down. All of our pipes, all of our sewers are older in town. And so we want to make sure that the money's there when things happen. We had one incident that same year that was near that break where a homeowner called me and discovered that there was a depression starting in his soil. And Scott went out there and discovered that too was a sanitary break. And we saved some money because we got it intact. Now, if we run out of money, what cities tend to do is go to referendum. When you go to referendum with something shiny and new like a library or like a rec center, you give residents a choice. But when it comes to infrastructure, like sewers and like water lines and pipes, I think residents think that's what they pay taxes for. They're not going to be as inclined to approve something that they can't see. They're going to tell us that, well, that's what we elected you to do, was to take care of our money in such a way that when these things happen, they get fixed.
That's right. And you don't have to have a referendum.
And this particular increase, 80 cents on the dollar is going to the city of Chicago, because the city of Chicago increases their water cost every year because they need the revenue for their own use. ALSIP is not taking very much. The typical homeowner in Palos Heights, if we approve this increase, is going to pay $1.25 more a month. 80% of which goes to the city of Chicago. Seniors will pay $1 more a month, 80 cents of which goes to the city of Chicago. We will put a few pennies into our capital funds, but that's all.
That's, Mr., are you done?
It's your turn.
So in the 18 years that I've been on the committee, all of those things that you said are 100% true. And in that period of time, almost in that entire period of time, we've had a huge surplus just like we have today. In addressing your point about the referendum, we do not have to worry, because just like this 3% increase, if there was a situation where all of a sudden we started to think, oh, we're going to run low on funds, we can make adjustments because we have the ability as a city to react. We could have a meeting on a moment's notice. Bob could call a special meeting if we were all of a sudden got hit with a huge bill. The point I'm making is you were sitting there, Alderman, with millions of dollars in the banks. The banks today are paying less than like 1-2%, okay? And all I'm saying is I don't even disagree that maybe 3% is the right number, but what I'm saying is the way it should be set up is when you have like fixed charges for improvements that you would properly address. We don't want to have a water tower go south and not have enough water for the residents. So, but there should be, I think, two components to the bill. Right now, there is no reason for someone to be conscientious on their water, because there are all sorts of people think, well, you know what, I can run the water my grass because I never hit my minimum, and like, you know, you have the first 12,000 gallons are part of your base rent or your base water bill. The reason that I think we've been like not really focusing in the right area of maybe the money should be more than 3%, but we need to have like maybe every single person here in this room and the guest as well. We might all have a set rate on the billing, and that goes to cover all the numbers that Alderman Violet suggested if there's something that breaks. So maybe that number, I'll just say, is $50. Now you have say an individual, they're single, they belong to a health club, maybe they belong to a golf club, they take showers there all the time, they barely use any water. On the other hand, you might have a family that has 3, 4, 5 kids, maybe they have, I know my girls used to spend hours in the shower, and so they run the water all the time. Don't you think, as Alderman Komarski pointed out, maybe it's a little unfair if somebody has 14 bags of garbage and she has 1 and she's paying the same rate? It's kind of the same analogy. Don't you think that we should try to focus to have people say, geez, should I run my toothbrush water the whole time, or I don't really care because I don't have to use it? And that's the only point, Alderman, that I'm trying to make, is I think we need to be conscientious and focus not only on what money we have, but maybe, and I'm not a millennial, but we should look at some of this environmental stuff. And, you know, and as I said earlier, I'm just making a motion to refer it back so we can have this type of discussion, and maybe between all 8 of us, plus the people at the head table, we could come up with ideas,
Well,
maybe residents.
It feels to me like we're having that discussion right now.
Well,
And as long as we're having the discussion, I would like to make the motion and to continue the discussion and have the vote. Because all 8 of us are here now, not just the members of the committee. But everybody here has listened to what you and I have had to say, in addition to Alderman Kromarski and the mayor.
And the thing is,
And
if
if
it goes
anybody
back
else
to,
wants
if
to
it goes
jump
back
in.
to committee, there were 2 yes votes. So even if the other 2 voted no, it would still come to us. We're still gonna vote on it. I'm prepared.
And maybe what,
There'd be
you know, Mike is
there'd
saying,
be
you know,
no recommendation, Alderman Key.
and maybe what Mike is saying is a good long-term plan, but I mean, you know, we can deal with that going forward, but that takes time to
Well,
establish.
I call the question, we have a motion to refer it back to committee.
You need a second for that.
Second.
Moved by Alderman McGovern, seconded by Alderman McGruben, seconded by Alderman Basso to refer now to committee.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, that dies, okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
you know, they've been discussing this about the water itself. Please, we all remember, you're talking about manpower, you're talking about vehicles, you're talking about sewer lines, you're talking about water lines, you're talking about digging up holes in the ground, and then you have to replace it, resod, or digging holes into the street, and then you have to turn around and replace the street portion where you put it in also. It's not just water running through a sewer system. There's a lot to it.
If I can just tell a little anecdote here, bear with me. My kids were over last night because they live in Beverly, and they hadn't had water since Saturday. It took 2 days to get somebody out, an emergency crew, to repair it. And then that person, they realized, my son-in-law, who happens to be a pipe fitter, was looking at the pipes and said, all these pipes are disintegrated. Well, they said, we can't do that because that's a capital project. That's gotta be put in the stands. That could take you a year to get done. And one of the guys who happened to be visiting the neighbor kid, happens to work in our public works department, he goes, you should go to Palos Heights, you know, we take care of that stuff right away. We don't make people wait. I mean, that's what we do here. And, and again, I can understand where you're coming from, Mike, and I think it's a long-term plan to, you know, maybe evaluate how we bill people for water, but we've also got to deal with what we've got now, or these increases that haven't been dealt with for the last 4 months, so. Somebody else had a motion I'm talking.
Is the motion on,
We need a motion.
I move,
Mr. Mayor, I want to make a motion to now defer it back to committee.
Motion
can't-
to defer is the next city council meeting.
That's fine.
Okay.
Requires a second.
If there's a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
Automatically goes to the next city council meeting. For action.
Well,
And it can't be deferred again.
but I have some comments also.
You can't, it's over. Bob,
It's over.
it's over.
We done?
Right.
It's just deferred.
Okay, anything else?
no, I wanted to get clarification. So this is deferred to the next city council meeting
For action.
for action. So the vote will take place
Correct.
at the next city council meeting.
Right.
Okay.
Alderman Basso seconded the motion to defer. Alderman Violet
Well, I started to
started to make.
Okay.
make a motion that
Sorry.
I didn't
All right.
get a chance to finish the motion. So
We
nothing,
need to make a motion?
I didn't finish saying what the motion was that he deferred.
Well, you made a motion to defer the action and the vote on the
Okay.
increase, which was seconded, so under your
So
code,
you
it
don't-
automatically goes to the next city council.
So you don't need a
meeting
motion then?
For
The
action.
main motion does not have to be on the floor then?
Right.
Okay, that's what I needed to know.
So
Okay.
your motion to approve is deferred for the next city council meeting for a vote.
For a vote.
Right.
Okay,
Okay?
all right. Anything else, Alderman Violet?
No, that's it.
Business and
for me,
Economic
Mr.
Development,
Mayor.
Alderman Key?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just this week on Friday, from 10 to 1 is our welcome back at Trinity College, where we're welcoming the freshman class in. It's move-in day. And I just want to thank the 75 businesses in town that are offering discounts to the students at Trinity. I want to thank the restaurants in town who have donated food, because we're going to feed the freshman class and their parents on move-in day. And I want to thank our interns, Abby and Nolani, who did the lion's share of the work on getting those discounts, and the members of the Business Economic Development that have been working on this as well. And that concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman McGovern, ad hoc cable?
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Any old business?
Old business.
Yes, sir.
Or maybe it's new business. It's tonight's business. Obviously, there are strong feelings about this water billing situation that we just voted on or not voted on tonight. And I think that the feelings are so strong that I'm totally amazed that everybody here knows all the ins and outs and all the possibilities and things that we could be doing for water billing, that this council even voted down an opportunity to have an outside organization give us some ideas. We always vote and approve spending for plans for the future, well, maybe changes for the future. And simply because we've been doing something forever that seems to work doesn't mean there's not a better way to do it that we haven't seen or that hasn't been explained to us. And I think people are voting here with the impression that some on the council don't want to bill people for water or want to bill people less for water or whatever, when that is totally not the situation. That's not the case. But I just can't believe that we would shut down a discussion on that and have tempers seem to flare over such an issue. I know that we've discussed it a lot, and I know also that the Water Committee in the past, because I've been on that committee for 16 years, the Water Committee has eaten any raise that comes from Chicago so that we didn't have to raise water rates. I don't know how many times that has happened. As long as I've been sitting on the committee, we've never had too many serious discussions about how we could change the billing and not put ourselves in jeopardy for those emergencies situations that come up. And it's kind of disheartening that we would just close our minds to a topic completely for that. And,
Mr. Mayor,
that's
I have
it.
some
Thank
old
you.
business. Sure. Just to revisit the traffic study once again. I don't want our residents to be under the impression that when we're in committee and we're voting on things, that we're voting our opinion or something. Whether I was on public safety or I'm on the roads committee, we rely on the experts, because I think everyone knows I'm a retired music teacher. Traffic studies are not my expertise, but that's why everything that we do, we have engineers. Everything we do, we're getting the opinion and the expertise of the police department. We're getting public works. We're getting engineer studies. We paid a lot of money to have this study done on sight lines and where the stop signs are warranted and that. And so when we're discussing this over months and months and months,
Years.
I mean, the traffic study was done when? In 2017.
17.
So 2 years ago was the study. We discussed it for a long time before then. And so we were gathering information, we were getting experts' opinion. So this is not about Jeff Key's opinion. This is me relying on the experts on this. We gather that information and then we vote our hearts based on that. And so I had to learn in the last 8.5 years that I've been on this council, I've had to learn that things that I had in my mind that I thought were true were not true. And when you talk to these experts, they will tell you adding a stop sign does not add safety. It does not slow cars down. In fact, it speeds them up. And so I had to learn these lessons over the last 8.5 years, and I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
I have a response to, have we ever been denied funding? We were denied the FAU route for 123rd place. Now, I don't know what the reasoning was behind that, but that would have been additional funding for us to do that road. Now we sit in limbo waiting for that. And another point I would like to make is, not everybody followed your directive on the use of cell phones tonight. So I hope that everybody takes that into consideration. It's very disturbing, it's very distracting. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other old business? Citizen Commission, Just Council, new business? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Somebody?
Second.
All in favor?
Won't be around about this. tomorrow night. Yes,